From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hello and welcome back to the Anxiety Project podcast. I am Brad Robinson. This episode is number 124. I'm so happy to be with you here today to talk about a morning practice that will set you up for success. It's really important if you are suffering from anxiety and you are in chaos to add that order. And it's really important to add that order at the start of your day so that the momentum carries on throughout the rest of your day and you can manifest the things you want to happen, right? Instead of entertaining those negative thoughts that immediately bombard you when you wake up and then snowball throughout the rest of your day. So how do you tackle the morning the right way? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Before I get into that, I want to go over your comments on last week's episode, which was about the unconscious mind. Emily J says, really related to this episode because I would spend a few moments of my day daydreaming about past negative experiences I have had. Now I know why. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, Emily, it's extremely powerful to become aware of those moments. I had those moments every day where I would be sitting on the subway thinking about something from my past that was embarrassing or highly emotional. And I would be so caught up in my mind that I would miss out on the external world. But then also that negative emotion would bleed out into the rest of my day and it would affect my day. And to know that it came from the unconscious mind is super powerful. Tim Jacobs says, wow, powerful information about the functioning of our internal world that we all need to hear. Thank you, Tim, for your comment. I greatly appreciate it. Dreamy Finn says, it blows my mind we are not taught these things in school, useful tools that make your life better. It seems self-evident. And I agree with you 100%. I don't know why we're not taught these things in school because they help you live a better life, right? Because we are not taught how to deal with these challenges growing up. We just repress things. And so it's sad. And that's one of the problems I have with the educational system is we're not taught how to handle the chaos of life appropriately. And so thank you for your comments. And let's get into this episode. First, I just want to say, without some order upon waking up in the morning, the mind will burn up more energy figuring out what to do next or ruminating over negative what ifs that occur. Because there's so much information in the world, right? There's so much information to pay attention to. So that's the question. What do we pay attention to? And what information is of more value than others, right? What is more important than, so you got to build up a hierarchy of values, right? And so what a morning routine does is, well, the routine doesn't require a lot of what to do next questions. You know exactly what to do upon waking up because you've built a routine. It's automatic. You get up and you realize, oh, I gotta write in a journal. I got to meditate. That's the next thing. That's mandatory. That's what keeps you disciplined. And you know exactly what's to come. And a morning routine helps set the trajectory of what's to come. And so upon waking, someone prone to negative thinking and anxiety can be overwhelmed first thing in the morning, right? And if things are not resolved, if things in your life is causing you distress, things weighing you down, not only will they keep you up at night, but they will come in the morning and make themselves known first thing when you wake up, right? And so a lot of people, my old self, had trouble handling these thoughts. And I hadn't developed that internal voice, that dialogue with myself to reject those incoming thoughts, right? There's that internal voice inside of you, but you might have heard that saying, people would rather die than think. That's where that's coming from. It's that internal voice. It requires some willpower within you to develop that internal self-talk to figure things out, right? That's partly why we have that voice, or pretty much why we have that voice, is to figure things out and think things through, right? And so we figure out problems that way, but a lot of people don't, right? And so we repress all of our problems as much as we can. So when I would wake up in the morning, I started to tell myself, today is a challenge. Today is a challenge. And each morning I would wake up, going through my anxiety recovery, I would say to myself, today is a challenge. In my mind, using that self-dialogue to aim myself away from those negative thoughts. And a challenge is something that will test and develop you, right? That's the beauty of saying to yourself, this is a challenge. It won't be easy, but it's something I can overcome. And in the morning, you might not even recognize those negative thoughts. You might just feel the negative emotions, right? Because you've been practicing those thoughts for such a long time that you wake up and you feel crummy. What if I have a panic attack today? What if I fail when I go to work and I embarrass myself? What if I faint? What if I can't go to the mall because I'm too anxious? Whatever it is, those negative thoughts that weigh you down, right? They can be challenged, and they can be so reflexive that you don't even recognize those thoughts. You just wake up with the negative emotion. You're like, ugh, right? It's that ugh. But you can challenge that by developing this internal voice. You wake up, you say, you feel it, but then you say, no, today's a challenge. Today's a challenge. Today's a challenge, right? And as I began to replace those negative thoughts and emotions with a dialogue that promotes growth, I felt like I was empowered, right? That I had some control, because anxiety sufferers, they want to feel in control. They're desperate for control. They're desperate for certainty. And so that dialogue adds that certainty that you have some control, right? And you're not going to be a puppet of those negative thoughts, those negative emotions. They make you a slave. And after I get up and say that dialogue, I'll make my bed and then I'll sit somewhere quiet and write in a journal for 5 minutes. Now, this is really important because the first things I write are the negative thoughts that are swirling in my head, right? It's important to recognize those what if thoughts. What if this pain is a serious illness? What if my doctor missed it? And whatever it is, write them down. And you're confronting the truth when you do that. And the truth is the truth of what's actually on your mind, right? That's what the truth is. The truth is the truth of what's really going on inside of your mind. We all want to hide from that truth, right? We all want to deny it, that you're thinking these negative thoughts. But when you write these thoughts down, you may not see them as that big thing that you've imagined it to be. You view it more as a monster that you can handle, right? You might even realize that they are things that you could actually overcome. And usually, I would generate solutions to these thoughts instantly in my mind after writing them down. So when you write down these negative thoughts, even though you don't want to confront them, right? You don't want to confront these thoughts, but when you write them down, you might even generate instantaneous solutions right then and there when you write them down. That's why journaling is so powerful. It's a release, but also helps you solve the problems that are lurking underneath the surface. Super important. So it adds some order to the chaotic mind. It adds order to the chaotic mind and helps you solve the problems of what's lurking up there in the mind. And you view the thoughts from a different perspective, right? When you write them down, because in your mind, you may view them one way, but when you write them down, you may look at them in a completely different way. And so in my journal, I would write down all the negative thoughts that come to my mind. And then afterwards, I will write 3 things I'm excited about today. What am I excited about? And then after that, I would write 3 things, and I still write these things, 3 things that I am grateful for. And after that, I will set a goal. I'll write down at the bottom of the page in my journal, daily goal. And sometimes my daily goal would be challenge myself. When I was working in the film industry, I would write down, challenge myself today with anxiety while at work, or it could be something like challenge yourself by reducing YouTube time, reducing TV time, reading 20 pages of a book, or challenging yourself with anxiety when you take your children to the park. Whatever it is, write down the challenge, and that sets an aim for you. You have an aim, you have some sort of aim, right? Today is just not an ordinary day. Today, you're setting an aim. You're doing something that is beyond you in some way. And then what I usually write at the bottom is, today's the day I prove my older self wrong. Really, really important. And then I'll meditate for 15 minutes, and it helps calm the mind and the body. And it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest system, right? So when you meditate, you're telling yourself that you care about the way you feel and you care about giving back to yourself, right? because we live in an age where everyone is going, trying to make something of themselves and are missing the joyful parts of life. Yes, it's great to pursue something worthwhile, but if you're suffering, if you're struggling, if things are not aligned properly in your life, there's something missing. And a lot of the time, it's that inner connection. And we get that inner connection through meditation. People suffering from anxiety, they are so detached from themselves, and they need to become more attached and become more aware of what is really going on, and to become more conscious of their habits. And by meditating, what you do is you become more attached to who you are. You become more comfortable in your own skin. You become more aware of your breath, and then it grounds you into the present moment, and that bleeds out throughout your day. Very, very powerful. And when we meditate, we are telling ourselves unconsciously to slow down. Slow down. I am in control of how I feel and what I think more than I realize. That's adding more order. That's why the morning is so important, to have a routine, to challenge yourself first thing, and to show yourself you have more control over the future you and the present you. But what you do now will greatly benefit the you later on during the day, right? You can set the momentum of the day. Discipline makes you stronger. It really does. It hardens the mind because you are capable of more than you think. Your body can endure more than you realize. It can heal you more than you think, right? And a lot of health anxiety sufferers, most of them have little to no faith in their bodies and their healing abilities, right? And meditation is one of those healing habits that is really powerful. So I recommend a really powerful app on your phone called Insight Timer. Insight Timer. It's not a sponsor. I just love this app because there's a lot of free meditations, guided meditations that you can do, and you can set a timer of, 10, 15 minutes, and you can set the background music. Maybe it's birds, maybe it's the ocean, whatever it is. It's beautiful. There's so many different things you can do on that app. And at the end of the meditation, after I'm done and I'm sitting there, I will visualize how I want the day to go the most ideal way. So I'll go through the day. If I'm expecting a challenge to occur, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's facing anxiety at the dentist, maybe it's facing anxiety at the doctor's office, whatever it is, imagine the experience the way you want it to go. And you're speaking directly to your unconscious mind when you do that, because the unconscious mind recognizes images and emotions the most. So you're speaking to your unconscious mind. You're saying to your unconscious mind, hey, this is what I want to manifest today. This is what I want to happen. And I did this before my day working in the film industry because I would be really nervous before I'd show up on set, and I'd be extremely anxious. And so I would imagine how I want the day to go, and I would imagine myself with confident posture, working hard, smiling, interacting with others, talking to people, things like that. And the more I did this visualization exercise, the more I would actually manifest those outcomes. And so imagine if you did this routine every day for a year, how better your life would be. How better would your life be if you woke up and you had this orderly routine set in place to help set an aim for you during the day? It helps set you up properly. What challenges could you overcome if you set up a proper morning routine? Also, getting up at the same time in the morning is important because it helps to regulate your circadian rhythm, right? Good sleep reduces anxiety extremely. Like if you're not getting a proper sleep, you are going to get anxiety. You are going to lose control of your mind to some degree and not have that guard, that rational voice, that inner self-dialogue at the ready when you are lacking sleep, and you will slip. And so having a proper wake and sleep cycle is crucial. And also challenge yourself by waking up at a certain time, earlier time. Like my old self, I used to get up at 10:30. Then I started to challenge myself and get up at 6. And I realized that I was able to get more things done. I was able to get up, be productive in the morning, and that productivity, that discipline would bleed out through the rest of the day, and the rest of my day would be better. I felt like I actually accomplished something, that the day wasn't just a waste, right? Because the more wasted days you have, the more you will sink and slip further into a hole, and you don't want that. And then after I meditate, I will listen to affirmations. I am powerful. I manifest the good in my life. I am confident when I walk. I am confident when I speak. I am confident when I sit. I love to challenge myself. I am willing to face difficulties because it helps me grow. Those are powerful affirmations. And I listen to a YouTube video of affirmations while I stretch. And I don't have I just stretch on the floor. I'll do different stretches. Doesn't have to be some solid stretching routine, just something that, detenses the body, right? And stretching is great for that. And it's also important to remember that what you act out attaches value to that act. So the act of you getting up and giving back to yourself with a routine like this, you're telling yourself unconsciously that you value this. You value this. And when you wake up and you don't make your bed and you just slide out of bed and you just go eat any old food you have in the kitchen and drink a jug of coffee and then you just pull yourself out the door, you're telling yourself, I value that routine, even though it's not setting you up for success. What it's doing, it's setting you up more for failure. You're not projecting a aim that is going to benefit your higher self. And so those who don't change and overcome anxiety, they stay in their current chaotic cycle because that's what becomes most familiar to them. And change is painful, but it's more painful staying where you are now than 5 to 10 years later and you are still in the same boat. So imagine that, not changing who you are now and being where you are 5 to 10 years down the road in the same boat. That's putting fuel behind you and moving you forward to a better place, right? You want to have that anxiety chasing you because you want to project yourself. You want to propel yourself. That's the right word. You want to propel yourself to your ideal you. And hopefully you have mentors that you are looking up to that is helping you get to that place, right? You always want to have that ideal above you and aim towards that ideal. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's podcast episode. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you haven't already, please go to iTunes and rate and review the podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. And also do that on Google Podcasts. Rate and review this podcast there. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next podcast episode. Bye for now.
Brad's powerful anxiety recovery program is available at unpluganxiety.com. The Anxiety Project program is downloadable and puts the power of anxiety recovery in your own hands. What are you waiting for? Visit unpluganxiety.com for more details. Recovery starts now.